Imagine this. I'm a 24-year-old woman in Southern California committing my life to serve God as a Catholic nun. Then I get a 3-month mission assignment in a small town in Idaho. On the first night at a welcome dinner at a convent house, the magic happens. I take one look at Sister Carol. Shazam! Wowie! Woohoo! Goosebumps and tingles tickled me from head to toe. I felt her aura and envisioned angels swirling around. Her voice was soft, slow, gentle, and happy, like a shooting star from the heavens. Joy burst inside me, and this spirit of love circled me, lighting sparks that would later burst into flames. Now imagine having that feeling for 40 years. That was us. Pure, beautiful bliss, united by God, loving life to the fullest. But wait, there's a catch. This was the ultimate forbidden love. As nuns, we were committed to God and Jesus first. That meant taking vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. And this was back in the 1980s, when people could be beaten and killed for being gay. It was also the HIV/AIDS era, which fueled fear and hatred toward gay people. But despite what the world was telling us, I believed that God called me to a life of religious service so that I would meet Carol. Now, romantically involved, we questioned our future of service in the church. Our love awakened our hearts and souls to the idea of a lifetime of us as a married couple. We left the convent, living in bliss and serving God and Jesus in ways that radiated our love and light to everyone we met. We bought a house in Brookings, Oregon, on the coast of the Pacific Ocean.
Fixer-upper.
We praise God with gratitude every minute for blessing us with the love of our lives, along with friends and families who celebrated us. Since gay Catholics are still not allowed to marry in the church, we finally married with an Episcopalian priest in 2020. And our vows in sickness and in health rang true after Carol suffered a massive brain bleed stroke and passed away in January of 2022. We decided that because our story is so extraordinary, we would write a book about it.
I first met Carol and Joanie in 1993 when I was 26 years old. Individually, they are powerful. Carol, inquisitive and caring, Joanie, curious and effervescent. Together, they were continuously unstoppable in their quest of adventure and their seeking of an understanding of the world at large and the people they met. Almost 30 years later, I recognize Carol and Joanie as dear friends and my personal life friends.
Touching lives, especially young LGBTQ people, like Daniel was when we met him, is a driving force behind why Carol and I decided to tell our story in a book. None better. An amazing love story gives voice and courage to those who are silenced by fear of rejection, ridicule, and even violence because they love a person of the same gender. We're showing that you can chart your own path in this world when you're driven by love and God.
None better an amazing love story will make your spirit soar as you laugh and cry both tears of joy and sadness. Joanie's high-energy writing style escorts you on a magic carpet ride through 40 years of fun with her beloved Carol, as well as their parallel lives before the electrifying moment when they first met. As you read, you'll reflect on the meaning of life, the power of love, and the undeniable hand of God that shapes us as individuals, guides us to find bliss with our soulmates, and together enables us to light up the world with limitless love.
Please support our book. You can buy it online at twosisterswriting.com and anywhere books are sold. On the website, you can learn about all the book signing events I have across America, so I can autograph a book just for you. You can also invite me to speak and do a book signing at your book club or organization. I can't wait to meet you. And meanwhile, enjoy the read. There's none better.
You know, and Nick was so good about putting this all together. How many of you know Nick? Nick Alexander? He's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. And of course, Elizabeth wrote the script for it, and that is Catherine's sister. And Catherine is my other publisher. They're two People laugh at this all the time. Well, there's 2 sisters on the book cover. Is that the same? Is that the same thing as your publisher? Are you publishers and your nuns and your, like, no. It's the 2 sisters. Yeah, the other sisters. So it just cracks me up. But both Catherine and Elizabeth have been there throughout the whole thing, just incredible. And it all happened because Dan knew Catherine, and Elizabeth happened to be in Oregon at the same time, or I don't know all the details of all that, but that's how it all happened. So I'm just glad to be here. So as a former nun, there's a difference between nun and sister. Did you know that too? Okay, well, it's in the book, so you got to get the book. Just kidding. Nuns are actually cloistered, and which means they're quiet. Okay, not me. Not me. Sisters are actually apostolic, meaning we are apostles and we're always doing the work of Christ out in the public, out in the world. So that's the big difference. So I am not a nun, even though it's called none better, but most people don't know the difference, and they sort of like that word nun, and it just sort of gets people going or something.
It's catchy.
It's very catchy. It's very catchy. Well, whether you're a sister or a nun, we do pray. And so I'm going to start off with a prayer tonight, and this is our version of prayer, okay? And if you know it, please join in. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine. Oh my gosh, you guys know it, see? There we go. And I guess that's the way Carol and I lived our life. We were singing all the time. If you came into our house, we were constantly singing. We had music on all the time. We both played guitars, and we just love life. We just love life. So this topic today is courageous conversations, religion, sex, and God. No, religion, sex, and love. Is that what we're doing? Yes. That's what we're doing. Okay. So, Catherine, can I have a paper? I lost my paper. I have mine with all my notes. Oh, thank you, Andrew. Thank you. So I did a handout for me, not for you. But if you have a pen or pencil and you want to write as we go along, or you want to jot things down, please do so. Please do so. There's going to be some interactive kind of things. I'm a teacher, and I'm a very hands-on kind of teacher. Anybody else teachers in here? Yep. See, and yep. Okay, in one way or another. So we're going to go through this, and at the same time, I thought, okay, God, what's going on now? So please write some things down as we talk about it. So the most important thing on here is it says courageous. Courageous. Well, right now, most places say, well, turn your phones off. I'm going to ask you to be courageous tonight. Keep your phone on. And anytime you feel like flashing that light, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Got it? Okay, so whenever you feel that urge, and we call that the Holy Spirit, when you feel that urge, just go ahead and put your phone on and put that flashlight on, whether it's at your feet or up in the air or wherever, but leave your phone on. So courageous things are something I think that we all do, and we've all done in the past. And so I'm going to start off when I was a little child. I was born Catholic, I guess, because I was baptized at, I don't know how many months old, whatever that is.
3.
Is that what it is?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Not by, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, young. So my mom was Catholic. My dad became a convert to Catholicism. And so I have an older brother and an older sister, and then came along me, and they called me the miracle baby, the surprise baby. And then they said, you know what, Joanie needs a playmate. So then they had my younger sister, Terry. Okay, but we were all raised in a Catholic family, and I was actually born in Sacrament, or San Jose, Cupertino area. Oh, good. Yeah, my father was the first Cupertino mayor ever. And so anyhow, then they moved to San Diego, and that's where my younger sister was born. And so in San Diego, we were involved in St. John the Evangelist Church, or parish. And that's where the Sisters of St. Joseph, get the hint here, okay? And so I had them in grade school from 1st grade through 8th grade. And I loved them. They were so joyous. They were just absolutely courageous in their own mind. First started out, and they were in the old habits, just like Carol was for 2 years, because she was 15 years older than I am, so that puts her in that market, okay? I only wore the habit one time in a play for 1 hour, and it was hilarious. This story is not in the book. But we were doing the play up at the Mother House right near Mount St. Mary's College. University in Los Angeles. And so we were at the big Carondelet Center there is what they call it. And so we were putting on the play for the older sisters, and they were loving it. And it was intermission, and I went into the bathroom to use the bathroom, and I bent over, and the whole thing just went over. And I'm like, Maggie, Kathy, I'm stuck in the bathroom. How do I get out of this? I think this convent, I don't know what's with this habit. I don't know. And so they had to go back had to call some of the older sisters because they didn't know how to take care of me either with this uniform or this costume or this whatever I was wearing. It was just a hoot. It was just a hoot. So anyways, back to courageous. Back to courageous. So when I grew up, my sister ran track. She's a great athlete. We were all good athletes in elementary school. Oh, we'll start with that one. This is a story in the book too. 4 years old. Here's Joanie. Prayer time. We have priests over. We have the nuns over for dinner. And Joanie, 4-year-old, gets to lead the prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Coach, amen. Because my dad was a coach at St. John's, the big St. John's. For a long time, I thought that meant like the university, right? It was the elementary school, you know? Anyhow, so that's how I became involved with sports and God right there from the start. But anyways, so as Terry and I grew up, and it's a hard one to tell, but it's so courageous, and I'm so glad I did it. She ran track for a group called Mickey's Missiles. Mickey Tyler was an Olympian, a beautiful, beautiful black woman, and my sister and one other person were the only 2 whites on this team of 30 other people, and they did events in Los Angeles and Orange County and different places, and normally on Saturdays. But this one big event was going to be on a Sunday, getting hot to trot. And so she's like, well, what am I going to do? I've got to go to church on Sunday. I've got a track meet on Sunday. 2 win-wins. You ever been in that predicament? When you have 2 win-wins, what do? Okay, here comes the courageous part. Okay, and I said, well, let's go up and talk to the priest. Let's just tell him what's going on, and he'll say, well, just forget it. You're good to go. You know, you've gone to Mass every single day all of your life. You belong to a great Catholic family. We pray all the time. We sing. We did the music at the church. Can you imagine that as teenagers? We did the music. We did the music. Read that in the book, too. Oh, boy. And so she goes, okay, let's go. So we ride our bicycles up to the rectory, and we ring the doorbell, and Mr. Gruff, Mr. Priest comes in. What do you want?
I'd like to go to the track meet.
Exactly. Hey, you're good. Come on up here. Okay. No, you can't. It's your obligation to go to Sunday Mass every single Sunday.
What if I were to go to Saturday Mass? Can I go to Saturday night Mass?
No, because you're going to be at the track meet Saturday, you said. You're going to be Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and you can start crying now.
Forgiveness?
So my sister bursts into tears and is like, I'm standing right there, and I'm looking at her, and I go, you know what? That's not very nice. I said that to the priest. I said, that's not very nice. I said, I'm going to go home and write the bishop. And so, guess what? We got on our bicycles, and we cried and laughed all the way home, just like the E.T. thing, you know, and the whole bit. And so we get home, and I stomp in the house, and Terry's in tears, Mom, Dad, you know. And I said, it's okay, I'm writing a letter right now. And I wrote a letter to the Bishop of San Diego. What I do know is, somehow, some way, and I don't know how it happened or what happened, but it was okay for her to go to track and not go to church. And she didn't get in trouble, and it was not a mortal sin, and she did not go to hell or any of those kind of things, you know, but it was being courageous. It was being courageous at a little age. And that's my involvement in the Catholic Church. I feel like I've been fighting and trying to get people to realize it's bigger than a church. It's about God. It's about Jesus. And yes, you have your religion, and you have your mosque, you maybe have your temple. I don't know what faiths or religions people may or have ever been involved in, but it's time that sometimes we have to say what is on our hearts and follow a real good Holy Spirit. So I'm going to pause right there. I'm going to ask you, what courageous thing have you done, and with whom? And I'm just going to give you a minute as we play a song there called Standing on Their Shoulders. I want you just to think about that for a second. When were you courageous? I've had courageous conversations with.
We are standing on the shoulders of the ones
Moses, of Ruth, of our grandparents, of our parents, of Amelia Earhart, of Martin Luther King. Think of all the people that have gone before us and we're standing and moving on for equality, for peace, for joy. We can be as courageous as they are. We can even be more courageous. So I hope that, how many of you found that you could find something in your memory about you being courageous in a conversation? Okay. Was any of it in a relationship with somebody, those conversations? Because that's normally where it is. You can have the conversation with yourself, which is so important. So important. We call that discernment, and I'll get into that in a minute with this beautiful chair here, as Dan calls it, the decision chair. But having that personal conversation with yourself is sometimes what you need to do before you can have that conversation with somebody else. So I'm going to whip in, and I'm sort of be going back and forth between religion, sex, and love. And if you notice on this paper, in the nun world, we call that prayer, hope, and joy. You know, I was thinking about the sex part. Are you praying for sex? Are you hoping for sex? Or is it joyful sex? You know? Oh, that reminds me. Oh, commercial. Oh. I think I can say this. If not, you can edit it out, right? Okay. Did you ever hear the joke of the Mother Superior and the novice, where they were learning about sex, and the novices were saying, well, what happened? Is it a sin if you masturbate? Is it a sin if you really are thinking these thoughts that you want to have sex with somebody? And the Mother Superior says, here's what you do. And she passed out. She passed out a squirt gun to every single novice. And she goes, when you have the urge, you just go pop, 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 pop. And they thought, oh my gosh, really? Will that work? Well, a couple nights went by, and one of the novices got up to go raid the refrigerator downstairs. And as she went by the Mother Superior's room, she heard some noise. Have you heard this before? No. And she goes, what is that noise? She leaned into the door, and she hears a Did you get it? Anyhow, I don't know where that came from. Anyways. So anyway, back to the courageous conversations. With Carol and I think one of the most courageous conversations that I ever had with Carol was when we were just in the beginning of our courtship. And this is honest. This is honest day here, right? Okay. And I don't say whatever you say in Las Vegas has to stay here. If you want to go share this, that's fine, because it's honest and it's true. And so I was in Carol's bedroom in Lewiston, Idaho, and I was deeply admiring her, passionately admiring her. And she said, what are you looking at? I said, I'm just looking at you. You're just so beautiful. You're so beautiful. I love the way you walk. I love to watch your hands. I love to watch your eyes. And she just got all flustered, right? And so she turned around and did something else. I don't know what she was doing. And then she came over to the bed, and I said, well, let's just sit here. Well, next thing you know, we're laying together. And I said to her, here's the courageous part. I want you and I need you. I am not complete without you. I don't know if anybody's ever been in that moment of love and life, but that was the most courageous thing for me to say. And she came back and said, you don't need me. I go, I need you. And then we laid there for I don't know how long. Time went. Just time went. And our conversation was about want and need. Want and need, how we physically needed each other, we spiritually needed each other, we emotionally needed each other, and what the heck were we going to do about it? What the heck were we going to do about it? Anyways, so that's a courageous part. So I guess that leaves us down to religion. Courageous conversations about religion or prayer. I think of human and divine because God made us in his image. True?
True.
True. Thank you very much. God made us in his image, or her image. Exactly. Okay. We are in the image of God. And does that mean that we are human and divine? Yes. Cool. Okay. Now there are times in our life where we may feel that or sense that or believe that. And if you had to stand in a corner, and I guess we could move, but just pretend this corner is 0 to 25% divinity. That's how, what the percentage of your life is divinity. And back there is 25 to 50%, and 50 to 75%, and 75 to 100%. How would you rate your divinity? How would you rate your relationship with God? How would you rate your relationship with something that you cannot explain and it is from the divine? Who's ever had that happen? You just cannot explain it. It is something. Where would you put yourself? Where would you put your 0 to 25% divinity? That you feel that your divinity is 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100. Anybody have an answer? 100. How come and why?
Because I don't ascribe to any religion whatsoever. I make up my own.
There you go. And so you feel that all the time. You know that. You know that. Do you see that in nature?
Yes.
Ooh, many, many people do. Oh my gosh, when Carol and I went to Yellowstone and we were out fishing for rainbow trout, and it's like, oh man, I love fishing. I had one on the line so good, and it was fighting, it was taking me all over, and the two other people out there fishing, they were watching me, and then all of a sudden, the fish bit my line and broke, and off it went. And I said, oh God, that was so spiritual. Can't you give me another one? I get my line all fixed up again. I get it out there, cast it out there. I caught another one, right? I'm going, are you the same one? Are you the same fish? Can you open your mouth twice and get a hook in twice in your mouth? And I'm talking to this fish that's on my line, right? And talk about nature and divinity. It was the most incredible thing because I reeled that baby in. It was like a 29-inch rainbow trout. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. And it was like he was smiling at me, or she. I don't know whatever the gender or whatever the fish is. But anyways, you know, and it was just so beautiful. It was so divine. It was a spiritual moment. I totally get it. I totally get it. Now, I've also been on the other end where it's like 0 to 25, where it's like, I don't believe in a God. Oh man, you know, you're really not helping me out here. I want this to happen. Well, they want something else. True? True? Okay, so let me just raise a hand right now today. What's your divinity score if you were to rate it? And you can close your eyes if you want. I'll close mine. 0 to 25, raise your hand. Poop, up, 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 okay? 25 to 50, I'm not looking. 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100. Got your rating down there? Can it change? Sure. Yes, that's the cool thing. It can change because the more that you pray and the more that you get along with your higher power or your higher nature, whatever your mode is, then it can change and it can grow. It's just unbelievable. So that's the human and divine part. Let go, let God. Oh my gosh, here's my sporting stuff. I'm sorry, Ray, when I hit that microphone. You're probably getting up. Sorry, Ray. So let go, let God. Oh my God, just other stories when I coached. You know, kids would say to me, Sister Joanie or Miss Lindenmeyer, or a lot of times, this is really interesting too, because a lot of the gay, trans, bi kids wouldn't know, should they call me Miss or Mrs.? And so they would just call me by my last name, Lindenmeyer, but they used it like a first name. Yeah, and so they would say affectionately, Lindenmeyer, you know, and they would say, well, you know, when I'm on the free throw line, I get really, really nervous. What do? Let go, let God. Let go, let God. Just always do your best. Let go, let God. And I was the same way when I was an athlete in terms of volleyball. You know, it was like, serve me the ball. Don't serve it to my other friends, especially those that don't really know what they're doing, okay? Serve it to me, Lord. Let me help. But if it goes to them, I'll stay away, I promise, Lord, because that's their job, right? Okay? You know, and the same thing when you're playing softball or you're playing baseball, you're playing t-ball. You know, oh, the baseball story. Can I tell you the baseball story? Oh, I know, I have all kinds of stories. You better watch my timeline here. Okay. So, I love this story. So there's this little kid, and the kid goes outside to play and has a ball and a bat. And parents are inside, just kicking back and watching, okay? And little kid throws the ball up, takes the time, throws that ball way up there, gets that bat ready. The ball's starting to come down, and swings, and royally misses the ball. Parents inside are going, oh boy. Kid gets the ball, picks up the ball. He bends and shakes his booty a little bit, throws that ball way up even higher this time with a little bit of spin action on it. And he is just like, getting ready. And it's still up there, it's coming down, and he swings with all the might. Made a circle. Missed it. Couldn't hit it. Parents come out. What's going on? What's going on? Oh. I'm playing. Here we go. Biggest one ever. It's way up in the stars. The sun, he's almost sweating to this one and getting that bat ready and swings, and it's 2 circles around. Misses it completely. And the parents say, honey, I'm so sorry we haven't taught you how to hit the ball. What do you mean, Mom? I just pitched a no-hitter. Do you get that one? Don't assume, huh? Because we know what those letters stand for, okay? But you don't assume. And what does that have to do with religion? What does that have to do with religion and God? Don't assume. Just put it all out there. Just put it all out there. Honesty, that's the next one. Honesty, courage, acceptance, celebrate, love, be the light. And that's what we're called to do, I think. No matter what faith or where you stand on the divinity chart, but go ahead and be the light. That's why I asked you to sing that song which you sang beautifully with me today. You know, you're the light. It's not me, it's you. It's you. Do you believe it? Do you believe it? You know, you're the light. You can reach people that I cannot. You know, and that's how the world works. That's how the world works. Okay, so let's get into sex part. No, maybe I better go back here. Spirituality, personal relationship, journal, CCD classes. Here's a good one. I have never shared this one with anybody. I had a very dear friend in high school named Kathy. And she was a year younger than I was, so when I was a sophomore, she was a freshman. And she had a very strange relationship with her cousins and her aunts and her uncles in the family home. I think there was like 10 or 12 that lived in the same family home, which was very unique for me because that wasn't my situation. And so I invited her to come to CCD on Monday night. And so I had a crush on her. And so we would sit on the couch together, and I would put my hand right next to her in a hand, and I'd hold her hand. And it was just wonderful. And Sister Pat let it all happen, which is cool, isn't it? Yeah, Sister Pat let it happen. And so, I don't know, a month or two later, Kathy says to me, Joanie, I'm pregnant. I'm going to name the baby Joanie. And I go, oh my gosh, you're naming a baby? Wait a minute, you're pregnant? Yeah, and it's like, yeah, I'm pregnant. And so I said, well, what are you going to do? And she goes, I don't know. What should I do? I go, you better talk to Jesus. I'm not going to give her an answer. She better talk to Jesus. And so I said, well, come to class Monday night. I'll pick you up, and we'll sit there. And if you want to talk to Sister Pat, you can, or if not, just talk to Jesus that night. And so here we are holding hands again. So after Mass, after class, she goes, I've decided I'm going to have an abortion. And I said, okay, whatever you need to do. And so I said, how about going to a place where you can hear all the options and then make a good decision from that? She goes, that's a good idea. And so we figured this out, where she could go, and she went and did that. And she still decided to have the abortion. And so then she said, will you take me to the abortion? And so it was like, oh, Kathy, I can't. I've got a volleyball game today. And I'm not making this up. I have a volleyball game today. If I skip class, then by CIF rules, then we're not qualified to win that, and it won't count as a win for us. And I said, I made a commitment to my team. I made a commitment to my coach, but I want to be with you. What do I do? She goes, you better talk to Jesus. I thought. So, do you want to take a guess on what I decided? How many think I went and played volleyball? I did! I did. I went and played volleyball, and she was able to have her aunt go with her, which was even better because her aunt was an adult. I'm still a teenager, and so her aunt went with her. And then the next day, she came to school, and I was so glad to see her. And she was real pale, and I said, how are you? She goes, well, I'm bleeding just a little bit. And I said, I have extra pads if you need them. And I said, you know where my locker is? You know my locker combination, da-da-da-da-da. And so I said, let's connect up later. So we connected at lunchtime, and she goes, I think I better go home. And so she was just exhausted, But it was just, it's heart-wrenching. It's heart-wrenching, but this is life. And then I sit in a Catholic Church, here we go for the Catholic stuff. I sit, and it's not in the book. I'm giving you the stuff not in the book, but you got to get the book to hear the other stories, because they are good too. And so, shoot. What was I going to say?
The Catholic stuff.
The Catholic stuff about abortion. Yes. So I'm in several parishes throughout my life, and the darn priest up there giving the homily is like, and I know there's people sitting in those pews that have had abortions, or have had a family member or a dear friend had an abortion, and I am just like hurting for them. It's like, get a grip, mister. Get a grip. You don't even know your people. You're not even shepherding your flock. And this is what attracted Carol and I to what we did for our ministry in the church. This is the kind of people that we were. And we gave retreats, and we met with people. And you're going to read a story in the book about Mildred. If you've read the book and you got to that story yet, Mildred. Oh my gosh, just a homebound person. And Sister Frances, who I also is in the convent, and how we'd be 24/7. We were on call to get over to the hospital to do what we needed to do to be with family whose son or mom, anybody was in an accident or whatever. But that's what you did. It was 24/7. It was a life. It was a career. It was a commitment that we made with those vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. But bigger than that, it was a mission. It was a mission. Sometimes churches are institutions, and we have to be the mission. So I am not practicing Catholic right now. I am going to the Episcopal Church in Brookings, Oregon with Father Bernie and Paige. And I haven't told you this, but I am in the process now, and I'm taking classes, and I am going to be received as an Episcopal person. Yeah, so that's where I'm finding my bent right now. The only drawback, and I've talked to Father Bernie about this, if I go to a Catholic church with any of my Catholic friends and my family, I'm not allowed to go to communion in the Catholic church. But if my Catholic church people go to the Episcopal church, they're allowed communion. Yes, and if they don't know, that's a different story. That's a different story, And I don't know how many times I have given with the PICs communion to people. And or not, it just, so it's an important part of me. So back to that personal relationship, Jesus is always, to me, bigger than a church, even though I love the church. I sent the Pope a book. I sent Cardinal McElroy a book in San Diego. He has been corresponding back and forth, not since he got the book, because I think he's in Rome more than anything, but I will touch base with that. And who knows Father Jim Martin? He's a great author and theologian. He and I are texting actually back and forth. Okay, so you can look at and read all of his books, but how fun. I'm texting Father Jim Martin. I would have never have thought that a year ago, less than a year ago. Seriously, it hasn't even been a year, I was just thinking today, it's only been 3 months since I physically met your sister. March 19th, St. Joseph's Day is when the book became the book. So now the book has been 3 months. It's been 3 months. It's 3 months. Okay, I'm talking way too much, huh? Okay. Sex. Let's go to sex. Let's go to sex. Let's go right here. This is the decision chair, as Dan calls it. This is the chair from Cataldo House in Idaho. And Carol was a sister of St. Joseph up in Lewiston, Idaho for many years. And she painted this chair. And when she left the convent, and of course I left the convent, which is like just months apart, she brought this chair with her. And it sat in our house for years and years. But when it was in Lewiston, Idaho, and she was trying to figure out what is she going to do about this love thing with Joanie, and I'm trying to figure out what do we do about this love thing with Carol, she sat in this chair right here. And, oh boy, sorry. I had a new knee a little bit ago, and sometimes it just does that. And when the Catholic Church wasn't doing our thing, we belonged to the God Minute. You ever been to this app? Oh my gosh, it's phenomenal. It's by the Vincentians. So anyways, she would sit in this chair with her shirt or whatever, and I'm going to read you her prayer that she read every day. We always did our scripture. This is our scripture book, which I still do today. I love it. And so she has this in her own handwriting. It's from Jeremiah. And I'm reading this to you all, okay? If I burst into tears, Catherine, you have to find the Kleenex.
Okay.
I alone know the plans I have for you. Plans to bring your prosperity and not disaster. Plans to bring about the future you hope for. Then you will call to me. You will come and pray to me, and I will answer you. You will seek me, and you will find me because you will seek me with all your heart. Yes, I say, you will find me, and I will restore you to your land. I will gather you from every country and from every place to which I have scattered you, and I will bring you back to the land from which I sent you away in exile. I, the Lord, have spoken, for I know the plans I have for you. So she sat in this chair, and she prayed that and prayed that and prayed that. And I get a phone call. I'm ready to live with you. The decision chair, Dan. And if any of you need to make a decision today, or there's something heavy on your heart, I invite you to come and sit in this chair today. And even though you may say, it's just a chair, it's not just a chair, because you make your own sacred space, which has to do with sex. You make your own sacred space. And what's our biggest sex organ? Our skin. Our skin cells. So it doesn't have to be intercourse with penetration. As you can tell, I was a health teacher, so I'm pretty blunt. That reminds me of another story. And this will be a real quick one. Anybody ever seen the DVD, The Miracle of Life, about babies being born? It's a Nova thing. Oh my gosh. I did the most terrible thing one time. And I'm playing this for the kids, and I think I turned it off, and I hit rewind. Can you imagine seeing a baby go backwards? Oh my gosh, it was terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible. And I get text messages today, and I get people, Lindenmeyer, I remember when that happened. Oh my gosh, that was all over the place. Everybody knows about that story. You know, it was just terrible. And then the next story from high school is, I'd always put a bicycle helmet on my head when it was going to be the time to talk about protection, particularly condoms. And so the juniors and seniors would walk down the hall, and I always greeted my students before they came in the room. And so I would say, they would say, oh, Lindenmeyer, you're talking about condoms today. And the freshmen would look at me like, why are you wearing that helmet? It's protection, you know. But anyway, it's just funny, crazy stuff. You know, but one thing I love about kids, you know, in terms of the sex part, they always are talking about, you know, well, how did you do it? How do you do it? How do you do it? You know, how do you make babies? Where do babies, you know, how many of you are moms and dads? You know, and so you've had those questions, right? Where do babies come from? So anyways, you know, it's always an issue about the sex part. And my thing in my classes was to also talk about how you do the love part of it, and the emotional and the mental stuff. And that's what Carol had and I had that was so, so special, that we just, you know, we found out and we committed to ourselves as two women in love. We never said we were gay. We never said we were lesbian. We just loved each other. And we didn't use those words. And it really wasn't until like about 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, when Carol was going through her stroke episodes and stuff. And, well, I haven't divulged this one either, but here we go. I'm at Good Sam, the care facility where Carol was. And she's having a hard time. You know, she can't even hold her hands anymore. And she couldn't reach for me and touch me or hold my hand that way, and didn't have the strength. And I went into the room, and I could just see in her eyes that she wanted some love. So I went over and I gave her a great big kiss on the lips, and next thing I know, her tongue is in my mouth. And I'm going, oh shoot, that door is wide open to the hallway of the care facility. And it's like, you know what? I don't care. I don't care. You know? But it's like we all need, oh, there we go. We all have the needs and the wants. And yes, it's love, but it's also so physical. It's also so physical. Carol and I were whole. We made each other whole. And we were separate entities, yet we made each other whole. That coming out in gay stuff, you'll read about it in the book, and I phoned home to come out to my parents, but my mom already knew. She knew in her heart. You know, my family, that's a whole other issue in terms of, they didn't think it was an issue. It didn't matter. And her family, it didn't matter. They just knew that we loved each other. That's what it was all about. It wasn't that label of gay and lesbian, you know. Yeah. What else do I say about that? Help me out here. Ask me a question, that a thought going through your head.
Being romantic.
Oh, I love romance. And so did Carol. And so, yeah, two romance people. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there's a story. Oh my gosh, we're driving from Chico, or Paradise, where her sister was living, and coming back to Brookings, and we're right on the river there, the Klamath River, right past the rest area in. Yeah, wherever. Yes, around there. And we were like, oh my gosh, we just have to be with each other. And so it's like, oh, let me pull off and go down to the river. So we take this dirt road and we go down to the river, and so we get out and we're smooching and smooching and smooching, because you always had to find a private place, especially as two women. You have to, two guys, yeah, I don't know about you, but maybe you guys are pretty bold, so you're pretty courageous. anyhow, so anyway, we pull down there and we're just smooching, and we're just being very, very romantic. And next thing I know, I hear something, and Carol goes, oh, it's probably a bear. I'm going, oh no, and so we turn around and there's two fishermen there. They've been there the whole time watching us. It's like, oh, God darn. You think you're secret. You think you're secret, and you think you're private. And it's like, no, God has another plan for that one. But romance, you hit the nail on the head. What are you thinking here? It's been almost an hour. How about we move to that last little bit? And it says, for you, conclusion. I am a courageous conversationalist about, what are your topics that you are courageous about? Is it grief? Is it death? Is it sex? Is it love? Is it romance? And who can you be a role model or a light for? Think about that. By your example, by your faith, by your beliefs. Who can you be an example for? Who are you a light for? And then the last one is, what are you grateful for? I am grateful for tonight, meeting all of you, and I can't wait to get to know you a little bit better. I am so grateful for Dan and Andrew. Oh my gosh, they're just a part of my life, and I have to tell you, that's another story, but Carol and I were so excited, and we had our list. Got to bring the potty chair, got to bring all these things that Carol needed because of her stroke, and we forgot our wedding clothes. And you were so kind about that. You were like, it doesn't matter. And
It's not really bright clothes, because you always have bright clothes.
Oh yeah, this is Carol's jacket and Carol's shoes, And her motto was, wear bright colors and have big smiles. That was her big thing. That was.
Dessert one too.
Yeah, dessert first. Yep, for sure.
My sister's gay.
Uh-huh.
And she's been married to her partner for about 40 years.
Wow.
But people say, well, her partner is named Jan. And people said, well, Jan was married to a man. And they said, how did she go for your sister, And my Jan always said, well, I was straight. I divorced my husband. But when I met your sister, I knew she was the best person I've ever known.
Isn't that awesome? I gotta give you a hug. Thank you for sharing that. And that takes a ton of courage to share that about your family and your sister, And seriously, I know in my family too, for them to share stories about me as a gay woman, as a lesbian woman, as a former nun, it's like sometimes, man, now they do it like crazy because of the book. But before that, it wasn't as good. It was hard. But, I'm happy.
Well, I feel like I should. I have to share it because it helps your story.
Yeah, and that's being the light.
Yeah.
And then you all have a voice. You all have stories to share. And if anything, I would recommend buy the book and then write your story and talk to Catherine. She will help make it happen. I never thought I would write a book. It was not even on my radar, not even my gaydar, none of that. It was not there. And then I found the book that Carol and I sort of had started, but never thought it would happen. And God darn, it's just amazing. It just happened. Absolutely.
I recently found this meditation that I just think is pretty pithy and appropriate to everybody. And it's from Rainer Maria Rilke, who wrote All Quiet on the Western Front. And he writes, love consists in this, that two solitudes protect and touch and greet each other.
Wow. Cool. Cool. I think you believe that. Yep. It shows. It shows. It shows. Yeah. Yeah. Belief. Wow. Cool. Cool. I thank you from the top of my heart. I don't say bottom of my heart. From the top of my heart, I thank you. So thank you.